Monday, April 18th, 2016. My name is Jason Bunn-Parsons, and I'm an autistic self-advocate. I'm doing this little mini video to attach in front of a video that I shot this past Saturday, 2 days ago, talking about the impact of the system on autistic aspie employment, and it's part of a series. But what wound up happening is part one, went so long that I actually have to break it up. So the name of this video, which is the impact of autistic Asperger's perceptions on autistic aspie employment, okay, isn't the name that you're going to hear in the video. You're going to be hearing the impact of the system on autistic aspie employment, and so anyway, so just be forewarned that that will be coming up in the video, and that at the end of the video I'll do another one of these little mini videos to explain where the series is going to go from here. So thank you and enjoy the video.
Hi, my name is Jason Bunn-Parsons. I'm the director of the Autism Ambassadors Corps, and today we're starting a series of presentations called Getting Autistics Jobs in Off-Public Assistance. And this is going to be a 3-part plus 1 series. Okay, today we're talking about the system's impact on autistic aspie employment, and I use the terms interchangeably. So some autistics who are higher functioning and qualify as aspies insist on being called aspies because they don't want to be associated with the lower functioning. I'm not going to get into all that. I use them interchangeably, but sometimes I'll refer to myself as an aspie, but I'm an autistic self-advocate. We really get too bent out of shape over labels and all that stuff. The more obsessed you are with your label, the worse off you're going to be. So, anyways, so then the second one, understanding the strengths and weaknesses of autistic aspies in relationship to employment. And that's where we're going to get into a little science. We're not talking about the kind of science you hear at these conferences that are so far over your head that they could be discussing how they plan to wipe out the world and you wouldn't know it because you can't understand a word they're saying. No, this is going to be more like Mythbusters, where they explain things so simply that anybody can understand it. Okay, and so that's how I deal with science, and combining it with personal experiences, and in order to to understand not just what our problems are, but why we have those problems and what we can do about them. Okay, and then part 3, the good, the bad, and the ugly of autistic aspie employment and volunteer experiences. Now, note I slipped volunteer into there because in a volunteer situation, you're going to be given opportunities to do tasks that an employer wouldn't give you the opportunity to just try. See what, let me work with your soundboard. See what happens. It wasn't that good of an experience. Nobody would ever pay me to mess up their soundboard, but if you got nobody else to work your soundboard, I can do something reasonably adequate. But anyways, but this third part, this is where where I'm hoping that all of you will be coming at every month, and it'll give you all a couple of months to think about your employment experiences. Those of us who have employment experiences, and not just the bad, but also the nuggets of good. Yes, maybe 90% of what you did for a particular boss was a complete nightmare, but maybe there was one little task that you did that you're actually rather successful at. You failed at the other 9, but there's this one. It's like panning for gold. When you stick your pan into the water, you don't throw it out because you don't see a 10-pound nugget there. You sit through there. Oh, here's a little 1-ounce nugget. Cool. Okay, and that's one of the things that I'm really wanting us to do is to not just spend so much time talking about how much we failed at this and that, but also talk about what little nuggets of success we have had, and then find employment in which ties more into that nugget of success than the rocks of failure. All those rocks of failure. And so, anyways, so that's basically part 3, and then my +1 autistic Aspie social skills. And the reason why I'm putting this as a +1 is because this is a standalone issue that ties into everything. Okay, if we're going to do educational, dealing with educational issues, okay, yes, the social skills are also going to play a role in it, and we don't need to do an entire session again discussing exactly the same things really that we discussed in the first session, and so that's why I'm listing it as a +1. So moving on today, the system's impact on autistic Aspie employment. Okay, the necessity for effective systems in enabling mutual cooperation. All right. Many autistic Aspies have a deep hostility towards the system, status quo, proper protocols, etc., due to extreme difficulties in fitting in. However, the systems are not inherently bad. The problem is that many of them lack the proper balance between firmness and flexibility. If a system is not firm enough, it does not enable individuals with inherently incompatible needs and wants to cooperate with each other, so everyone can have their needs and wants met. Example, us getting here, to this meeting. We all, got here by some mode of transportation, and so you're driving southbound, you're approaching an intersection at the exact same time somebody eastbound is approaching that exact same intersection. Well, you can't both be in that intersection at the same time. Somebody needs to go first and somebody needs to wait. A system has been set up to determine that in order that there's no accidents. As long as everybody abides by the system, there's no accidents. And so systems are so we need systems, including in this meeting, that there's certain protocols in a meeting of this type. Yes, it is discussion, an interactive type meeting. So if you have questions and comments, do feel free to raise your hand and to chime in. But as long as we all abide by those very basic protocols that are involved in any such meeting of this type, we can all participate. And I can share all the information that I need to share, and you can all weigh in with whatever contributions you guys want to make. Okay. However, if it is not flexible enough, it will undermine the ability of individuals to function in a manner most effective for them. Such individuals will be doomed to failure in areas that they would otherwise succeed if they were able to do things in a way that works for them. And and like I said, this requires a balance. Because I need special considerations in certain areas, and there's certain places where they simply cannot give me those accommodations. And instead of me making, come on in, making a big issue out of it and trying to hijack that situation, just realize, okay, well, find some place where you do where it is more suitable. And so, anyways, the system that is set up to meet the social service needs of the United States has openings that allow private organizations to be a part of the system. The autistic community needs to recognize that these openings do exist, so we can create our own subsystem within the greater system that will be more effective in meeting our needs, okay? And we're not going to get in the whole debate over capitalism versus socialism, blah, 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 but whatever you think about capitalism, the fact is, our government does contract out, a lot of responsibilities to private companies, okay? That is our way in, okay? well, we may have problems with these private companies. So, what my conclusion at the end of this presentation is going to be is, okay, then let's start our own. Okay, and so what's going to be in between there is my assessment of the system in dealing with the system as somebody who was diagnosed at the age of 40, which is quite typical of people of my age brackets, was now referred to as high functioning autism / Asperger's / Asperger's no longer exists in the DSM. Who cares? That didn't come about until 1994, 6 years after I graduated from high school, and so I wasn't able to benefit from any of that. And so anybody who completed their schooling prior to the 1990s, they if they're as high functioning as myself, they probably did not get diagnosed. There may be some few exceptions. Temple Grandin is an exception. Okay, for those who don't know who Temple Grandin is, she is the #1 autistic self-advocate in America. As far as, she is so insightful. She has a PhD in engineering. She is the one that has designed the system that the slaughterhouses use to slaughter cows in a more humane manner. And her systems are used as something like 80-some% of the slaughterhouses. She is an engineering genius. Okay, she was diagnosed. She's diagnosed preschool. You'd have to watch the Temple Grandin story. Yeah, and if you get the DVD, okay, after watching the Temple Grandin story, okay, then watch the special feature where they replay the movie, and in that they turn down the volume, and Temple Grandin, the director and the writer.
Last name? Are you saying Grandin or
Grandin?
Grand is in Grandin side.
Yeah, Grandin. Yeah, Gradin. Is that
Actually,
Yeah.
it's Grandin.
Didn't
He
she
Googled
write
it.
Thinking in Pictures? Isn't that her book?
What's that?
Isn't Thinking in Pictures her book?
Well, she has about a dozen books. That's one of at least a dozen books that she's written.
That was one of her early books.
She's even written a book about for churches to better meet the needs of autism. I mean, she's done one on medications, understanding the strengths and weaknesses. She's all about the responsible use of medications. So she's not going to be one of these people that's going to push every medication on you, but at the same time, she's not a fearmonger either. That's it's going to focus on all the terrible side effects. She's going to put them in proper balance. And it's like, okay, is that side effect worse than what you're dealing with, if you don't take the medication, that it's a trade-off that you have to consider before taking medications, and she's very good and very thoughtful about how she addresses these issues. So yeah, if I remember, maybe 2-3 years old, something like that. But anyway, so but for the most part, people of my age brackets, who graduated, completed school before the 1990s, they did not get diagnosed. If they're as high functioning as me, they did not get diagnosed, in school. And so, and even today, when did you get diagnosed? You just got diagnosed recently.
2 years ago.
2 years.
Who's
Well,
I was out of high school.
so you were you were still a senior in high school.
No.
No. Oh, so you're barely out of high school.
I guess like you could say freshman in college.
Okay, so freshman in college. Okay. So anyways, yeah, that's a whole nother subject I don't want to get sidetracked on to. I've actually done a 6-hour seminar on autism, so before.
Because I don't think schools are diagnosed. If they're okay academically and they're not a discipline problem,
well, okay.
they're not.
Yeah,
Well, in second grade, he
Yeah.
graduated high school in 2010, but in second grade, the special ed teacher, because I put him in special ed.
Yeah.
It wasn't that he was dumb.
Okay. Okay,
But-
the key,
She said check.
yeah, the key to whether or not a child is going to get diagnosed, a lot of it, I'm not going to say 100% of it, but a lot of it has to do with the parents, okay? On one end of the spectrum, you got parents that rush their child to the ER every time they sneeze. On the other end, you have parents that are in complete denial about their child's struggles. You can present all the proof about how they're struggling, and they will refuse to accept it, okay? And so a lot of it, the job of sounding the alarm button ultimately falls on the parents, okay? The teachers, all the professionals can be advising them, but when it comes right down to it, the child will not get a formal, because they got to consent to the child taking the tests in order to get the formal diagnosis.
But I never had anyone ask me ever, anything, ever.
Yeah.
I didn't have calls or
Yeah,
nothing.
well, maybe, in his case, yeah, he didn't have any notable struggles, in school that caused the teachers to contact you. That would be an interesting, to redo our educational struggles of autistics. We actually did that last May. Me and 4 other autistics, John, who's of my same age bracket, and then Sam and Philip, who are 10 years younger than us, all talked about, what we, what our experiences in school were, and and if we were to do it again, we might make these changes. We might, want to, do that again in discussing, the experiences, because that's really good, to get this firsthand information.
Absolutely.
And that there's also a parent, that was there. His children were just going into 1st grade, and what him and his wife were having to do to find the right school, that they had twin autistic 1st graders. One of them had behavioral issues, okay, and yeah, go to aacphoenix.com, and all my videos, that I make are on there, and
What was it again? I'm sorry.
AAC, Autism Ambassadors Corps,
Okay.
aacphoenix.com, okay, and all my videos are on there, and there's a tab specifically, education, okay, so click on that, and I think that's the only video on that tab. But anyways, yeah, that's
That's a big issue.
yeah,
People
I-
develop coping mechanisms,
Right.
and people are
I think he was
reasonably
really good at
intelligent, and you develop ways to deal with all that stuff.
Yeah.
For our first
Naturally.
appointment at the psychologist, he said right away, this is too early of a diagnosis, but I think this is what and I knew immediately then.
Mhm.
I had a gut.
yeah,
You do. You do.
yeah, so,
Yeah.
And I was not myself for a year. But,
yeah.
The
So,
neuropsychologist, excuse me, I'm sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
The neuropsychologist, when he was in 2nd grade,
Mhm.
said, "Oh, he's borderline," and I was like, "Okay."
And it's all, that's the
You know.
thing, it's all subjective, okay? You got 2 professionals, they both have PhDs, okay? This professional is going to look at the child, and yeah, they both see that they're, the same far behind because they're given the same test, but one psychologist is like, okay, yeah, that's not that bad, especially,
label them.
especially if they see this strength over here, it's like, oh, but another psychologist or professional will take that more seriously. Again, this
7 years later.
yeah.
Okay.
So it's all subjective,
Right.
It is subjective behavioral analysis, yes, it is a science, but it's a subjective science, okay? 9 out of 10 people are a certain way. What do you make of that 10th person? And so,
Depends on the day.
depends on the day, depends on who you're asking.
Right.
Yeah, and so, depends on what kind of environment they're seeing them in. Mhm.
That as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, okay, so 6 levels of preparation needed for autistic employment. Oh, I forgot to put ASPE on it. Oh well. People are just gonna have to get over it. Okay. Level 1 is none. Okay. Okay. Some autistic ASPEs have been fortunate enough to find the right job vocation that they can hold indefinitely. Most of them were able to find the right career path out of high school, although some have been able to figure it out later in life. In the East Valley, after I got diagnosed, I went to the Autistic Aspie support group in Phoenix at the time, which is co-hosted by Sue Golubach, who is a now retired occupational therapist, and Tara Marshall, who's a speech-language pathology assistant, both of whom are autistic. Okay, Sue did not get diagnosed until she was 50 years old. Again, at that age bracket, somebody who's higher functioning did not get the diagnosis in the vast majority of the cases. So here she goes. She's successful in this very in-depth occupation that you need a lot of schooling. She has a master's degree, okay, and she succeeded, okay, without a diagnosis, without any special accommodations. Now, I'm not saying that every autistic Aspie can do that, okay? Like I said, there are 6 levels, okay? Not every autistic Aspie is able to do that, but the fact is there have been some. And whenever we talk about autistic Aspie employment, they don't talk about these people, okay? They know that they spend all their people that have succeeded, okay, who didn't even have a diagnosis. They just happened to make the right choices, the ones that actually work for them. What is the common denominator of, when it comes to these choices that they made, as far as what type of jobs? Okay, we have another lady in our group. She was an Air Force mechanic who worked on helicopters for 16 years. Okay, and then she used her GI Bill benefits to go become a public school teacher. Okay, before she got diagnosed with autism. She's been successful at 2 different vocations prior to getting an autism diagnosis. Okay, I have another friend who works for United Healthcare. Okay, and as a claims adjuster, and he's actually a rock star for them for reasons that I'll elaborate on later. Okay, and he got that job before he got his diagnosis. Okay, so not every autistic is going to need special accommodations. Okay, and so that's one of the things that I really want to emphasize is that making the right choice sometimes is the best accommodation. Just being hired for the right job in the first place instead of just being like me, taking whatever job I can get and trying to make do on it, that did not work for me. Okay, that was a disaster. That kept me in a perpetual state of financial collapse. Well, I had cycles of prosperity and financial collapse. I was homeless 3 times throughout the 90s. Okay, and the reason why it was 3 times because I was determined not to stay homeless. It wasn't that I was some lazy slacker who wasn't wanting to work. I tried my hardest. It's just that I didn't know, about these specific issues. I thought I was just like everybody else. I didn't realize I had these specific issues that were undermining my ability to maintain employment. Okay, so then the second level is a holistic understanding of autism, and that's what I got from Sue and Tara. Not, some autistics may need only a complete understanding of autism Asperger's and how it plays out for them in order to find the right job vocation. This means they need to do more than just have an itemized list of all their struggles, but also recognize their inherent strengths as well. Oh, okay. And so this is, again, the biggest part of the problem. When you go to all these autism experts, what are they doing? They're listing all of our problems. And they're so upset. And yes, these are legitimate issues, but what about our strengths? If you're going to find, find a way for us to succeed, you need to focus on what our strengths is. Okay, then level 3 is a restoration of the autistics' shattered self-confidence resulting from them believing that there is no hope that they can ever obtain self-improvement necessary for employment or any other area for that fact. And this is yeah, this is one of the reasons that there's actually several reasons why I don't have more supports, amongst my fellow autistics, Aspies, is the fact that I'm considered a quack because I'm paying attention to all these things that the experts are ignoring. One of the things that, when I was 20 years old, I joined a 12-step program, general purpose, to deal with my codependency. And I learned about the fact that I have a right to be my own unique individual self, and understanding, learning conflict resolution, learning social skills, being given a safe environment to develop social skills. And I'm explaining this to the group, and they're looking at me like I'm a madman. It's like, excuse me, just because nobody inside the autism community is talking about this, the fact is everybody outside the autism community is talking about this, okay? This is established fact outside the autism community, so why won't the autism community listen to these established facts? And I wish Sam and Aaron were able to come, they had, scheduling conflicts, but Sam is, like I said, a fellow autistic Aspie. He's about 10 years younger than me. He is the leader of a autistic Aspie youth group that operates in conjunction with AZ Assist. It's a parent support group in Tempe that was started by a couple of moms, and one of those moms still runs it, along with their little committee that Sam is a part of now, as of 2-3 months ago, something like that. But anyways, so he's been doing that actually since about 2 or 3 months before I got diagnosed. I believe he said since February 2009, he's been the leader of that group. Okay, and then Aaron, is a longtime friend of his he lured into our community, even though she's not autistic, and she helps him out, third Monday of every month, 7 o'clock. And talking to them, and I really wanted them to be here to explain to them, what they've, talked, with the teens about, and the attitudes that the parents have towards, towards autism / Asperger's, and how it affects how they, how they deal with their teenager is, I realize, these parents are well-meaning, but some, some are overprotective. There's a lot of overprotective parents, of even children that don't need, special consideration, but you give an overprotective parent a child who needs special considerations, and some of them just go bonkers,
Helicopter moms.
What's that?
Helicopter moms.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm actually adopted, Bunn-Parsons. Bunn is my biological last name. Parsons is my adopted last name. After I was adopted, a few years later, we adopted another girl, a little sister who had Down syndrome, and so she went, got involved with Special Olympics, and her coach talked to my mom about coming and talking to the other parents about what this Special Olympics coach referred to as handicapped parenting. Okay, where the parent was so obsessed with their child's handicap that they became their child's handicap. Okay, again, this was before back in the 80s, before everybody had cameras on their cell phones, before they had cell phones, and so this coach is working with the children, and they're doing all this stuff. Their parent shows up. My child can't do that. Your child was doing that until you showed up. Yeah, and so again, I'm wanting to be sensitive towards them because I know they're well-meaning, but at the same time, this is a problem, and one of the things when I first started, this back in 2010 is getting autistics and parents sitting together in the same room, like we're doing right now. We've got a couple of parents in here, with their autistic children, and we're discussing these and exchanging information. We need this. We need the observation of our parents to see things that we're not noticing, okay? And our parents need to listen to us as far as like, okay, your assessment of what you're observing, it ain't accurate. What's going on inside my head isn't what you think is what's going on inside my head. Okay, we need this kind of dialogue. And this is why I've been trying to get started since 2010 with very little success, you know, but anyways.
Keep going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so as far as restoring, you know, this the self-confidence, this starts with them witnessing autistic Aspies on level 2, those who just need the holistic knowledge, progressing to level 1. Okay, only then might some of them open up their minds to the possibility that they can achieve more than society thinks that they can. Okay, and so then level 4. Extra support because the extent of their disabilities will be more limiting in their employment options, okay? And yes, I do acknowledge that there are some individuals who are going to need special considerations, okay? You know, autistic Aspie after autistic Aspie has come to the same conclusion about the vocational training options in Phoenix, Arizona, USA. I put this on the internet, that's why I put in USA. In case they don't know that Phoenix is in Arizona, US. Anyway, all the organizations who provide them only provide training for no higher level than this. In other words, they assume that levels 1 through 3 doesn't exist. Okay, that and I've dealt with voc rehab. Okay, and I will be addressing my experiences dealing with voc rehab, you know, towards the end of my presentation.
Is that DES, vocational rehab?
DDD.
DDD.
Yeah. Voc rehab is federal. So DDD is federal, DES is state.
But it gets started through DES.
Yes. Yeah. They're interwoven, you know, together. You know that they supposedly, you know, work with each other. You know,
We didn't get much help from
We got
DES.
nothing.
Yeah.
You got a 6-year waiting list because you've got good grades and you've got one disability.
No, he went and did the testing, but they're like, we can't help him.
Yeah. Well,
I'm like,
We just
really?
wanted to help get a job. Help.
Yeah.
Yeah, the same here.
yeah. Well, I actually got diagnosed originally through SSDI. Okay. You know, after 40 years of roller coaster employment, you know.
What's SSDA?
That's
Social Security disability.
Disability insurance. Okay. That's who basically gave me my original autism diagnosis under the DSM-4 criteria. Okay, and basically, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but I actually got lucky that to get the diagnosis. I was lucky that the memory test that he gave me had to do with history. Okay, he asked me to recite the presidents of the United States in reverse order, and I made it all the way into the 1920s. Okay, before I got mixed up with Hoover. You know, but anyways, I made it back that far. Okay, if my special interest would have been science, I might not have been able to demonstrate my superior memorization ability, and therefore might not have gotten diagnosed. Yeah. Well, but then when I went through, through voc rehab, I had a psychologist, give me a proper exam, and that's later on, anyways. So yes, this is part of the problem. Is like I said, yeah. Anyways, I made my point on this. Okay, so then level 5, those are so severely disabled that they are unemployable. Okay, my little sister Kelly, like I said, she has Down syndrome. Okay, she does do menial jobs at what would basically amount to like a Goodwill store. Doing sweeping and stuff like that. She lives in a group home. She does her own cooking. She does her own shopping, but there's no way she could ever live by herself, But in any case, but locally in town, when I was first starting the AAC, I went to this one place that does adult services, and and I walked in the door, and at this table, there was, a bunch of individuals basically, taking all these junk trinkets that are made in China and putting them together to make cheap jewelry to sell to help support the program. And I looked at them, and they were happy. Okay, fine. I'm happy that they're happy. That maybe that is the most that they can do. If so, then I'm happy that they found something that they enjoy doing. And I was watching them interact with the staff, and it was just a positive environment for them. And I'm glad for them, and I would not want to take that environment away from them, but there's no way I should be put in that environment.
Right.
I am capable of doing so much more.
Yeah.
I should not be placed into that environment. So, okay, and this also is another reason why I don't have a lot of supporters. Those, choosing to live off the system, refusing to consider the possibility that they might be able to improve their quality of life through personal self-improvement efforts, and hey, there's some in every walk in society, that, yeah, you give them a get-out-jail-free card, and they're going to play it every opportunity that they get, okay? Hey, the autistic community has them too, okay? The thing is, the major problem that many autistic Aspies who were forced onto public assistance against their will, including myself, is that people are quick to assume that we belong in this category. Okay, I had two choices. I could go on public assistance or I could be homeless. Again, those were my two choices, and I chose not to be homeless, okay? I was also suicidal because it was very degrading for me to hoist the white flag. And that's what I felt like I was doing. I was hoisting the white flag. It was so degrading that I considered killing myself.
Well, I'm glad you're here.
Well, thank you. And it's not my intention to go goose-stepping through the autism Asperger's community, passing judgment on whose struggles are real and who's faking it. I just want to make it clear that many autistic Aspies were indeed forced onto public assistance against their will. It was either enduring the humiliation of becoming dependent upon others or living on the street, like I just said. This application, the application process, yeah, like I said, I consider taking suicide.
We got it.
Yeah, okay. Okay, liberating autistic Aspies from public assistance. Okay. The autistic Aspies that my plan targets are those who not only can get public assistance, but who want to obtain complete financial independence. So I'm not, one of these people that are going to be trying to kick somebody off of public assistance who believes that they need it. Okay, that's not who I'm targeting. I'm targeting people like myself who never want to get on public assistance in the first place. Okay, as well as people who are fighting like mad to stay off of public assistance. Okay, these are the people that my plan targets. As far as the other people, that's for other people to deal with. I'm targeting the ones who want to be off or stay off public assistance. My plan does not require money, but for autistic Aspies to be allowed to have a say in what potential employers are told about them. Okay, what it does require is for those who have succeeded, like I said, back in level 1, without a diagnosis and or special accommodations, to be given the stage so they can explain to those who are in a similar level of functionality how they did it. Okay, and so once these individuals can be liberated from public assistance and or special accommodations, the money that is being spent on them for those purposes can be diverted to those who are more severely affected. And so this is where the parents of the lower functioning autistic children, why should we be spending resources on you? My child needs it more than you do. Okay, right now I'm consuming, I figure, about $20,000 a year in public assistance. That's SSDI, food stamps, Medicaid, subsidized housing, etc. my food stamps go up and down like a yo-yo, so there's no point in me even trying to come up with a exact number, but I'm just estimating about $20,000 a year in public assistance, okay? Times 10,000 individuals who can and want to be liberated from public assistance equals $200 million in taxpayer savings that can be given to those who need more assistance, or to the firefighters, or to whatever, or to the deficit, whatever, you know, the politicians want to spend it on. $200 million a year can be diverted to other purposes by getting people off public assistance who don't want to be on public assistance in the first place. Okay, and so now we come to the autism community pyramid, and I want to thank a friend of mine who made these slides. He goes by the screen name of Master Shake, which is apparently a cartoon character in some cartoon I've never heard of before. But anyways, he's on this Broncos fan site, and he loves doing, graphics. We have a football picking, every year, and whoever is the weekly winner, he does a banner for them, completely free of charge, because he just likes doing it so much. Okay, so that's Broncos Forum, screen name Master Shake, the beloved DSM that we all so much love and cherish. Okay, the DSM Diagnostic and Statistical Manual provides the diagnostic criteria for all mental health issues, including those that are not classified as mental illness for the United States, and that is what we were discussing earlier. That's your previous employer who's trying to fire you right now. You work for the corrections department, is trying to say that your autism is a mental illness, and no, it is not a mental illness. Okay, and this is why I wish Erin was here, because she's going to school. She's right now doing her internship, get her master's degree in counseling. Okay, to work, because she wants to work specifically with autistics. That's how good a job Sam and I have done sucking her into our community. That she went to school to get a master's degree to work with us. So, anyways, explaining the difference between mental health and mental illness, there is a distinct difference, okay, between autism and schizophrenia. Okay, I am not a schizophrenic. You should not treat me as a schizophrenic, because I am not a schizophrenic. Okay, and that is a major problem. They think that because it's in the DSM, that means it's a mental illness. No, that is not how it works, and that needs to be explained by somebody that understands that. So, okay, and so then next comes the ICD. Here's something that most of you have not heard of before. The ICD, International Classification of Diseases. Okay, provides the diagnostic criteria for all healthcare issues, both medical and mental, for the entire world. Okay, for some reason, the psychologists and psychiatrists in the United States believes they need to have their own private diagnostic criteria. Okay, the rest of the world, doesn't need it, but the United States, for some reason, needs to have their own special diagnostic criteria for mental health issues. Okay. Okay.
That's why we have the DSM instead of the ICD?
Okay, well, okay. Although American mental health professionals use the DSM for their diagnostic purposes, the insurance companies use the ICD for billing all healthcare related issues. Okay, so in the DSM, and Erin showed me her DSM. Okay, that they've got all the different diagnoses that at the end of each section, that they then translate that into what the diagnostic code for the ICD is, so that way they can bill that they know how to bill the insurance company. Okay, isn't America wonderful?
It's better than most countries in many ways.
Erin thinks that this makes sense. I don't. Okay?
It's just an insurance mechanism.
It's a
tool of
big
insurance.
corporate
Well-
driven decision for
well,
profit.
Well, it's not just, you know, the insurance things, because like I said, the ICD is used exclusively by the rest of the world for both mental health and medical, okay? So it wasn't created by the insurance companies, okay? It was created by an international group of professionals, okay? And the American medical doctors accepts these diagnostic criteria for dealing with their issues, but the American psychologists and psychiatrists don't accept the mental health section of the ICD for whatever reason. They think they need to have their own. Anyways, yeah. So although the DSM and the ICD are consider Asperger's a variation of autism, okay, the ICD still lists autism and Asperger's separately, okay? The DSM has done away with the term Asperger's while overhauling autism is bad grammar. Basically how autism is classified, okay? You know, when comparing one individual to another. And so basically, Asperger's has not been done away with if you deal with your insurance company. So if you want somebody to call you an Aspie, you know, talk to your insurance agent. They'll call you an Aspie. Okay, your psychologist won't, but your insurance agent will. So have fun. Both the DSM and the ICD define autism solely by its struggles.
Most insurance companies don't cover autism.
Well,
Do they cover Asperger's?
Well, no. Okay, there are no treatments for autism per se.
Just for the symptom?
But yes, you know, for you know, sensory processing issues, gastrointestinal issues, you know, but also, you know, if they're going to diagnose somebody, they're going to get paid for doing the diagnosis. Okay, and so that's how they're going to bill the insurance company for taking the time to diagnose the individual as being autistic. Is you know, that they'll. No, so anyway, so that's where you know, the psychologist, that's really the only interaction that the psychologists have with autism specifically, you know, with the insurance company is just, okay, we gave them the label, give us our money. That's pretty much. But so
Isn't that what they call autism spectrum disorder now?
yes, yeah, and so. Anyways, yes, and there's 3 levels, and my official DSM-5 label is now ASD Level 1. I'm at the top now. Ooh, big whoop-de-doo. I'm so thrilled. And when the DSM-6 comes out, they'll come up with some new label to give me. I just cannot wait for the DSM-6 to come out.
Is that in the works?
It's just a,
Maybe, you know.
we don't know.
Out
It
for a
just,
while.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, the thing is, okay, well, with modern technology being what it is today, okay, that they can revise the DSM on the spot now. It's not like the old days where, okay, 1968, you know, the DSM-2 comes out, okay, and so they had to print up all these books and distribute them to all, you know, and do all new training classes and all this stuff. You know, nowadays, if there's a revision, they just put it on the internet, and so as far as, you know, officially, and they did away with doing the Roman numerals, they just did 5, and so they'll come out with 5.1 at some point, 5.2, 5.3. That's so that's what they're going to be doing in the near future when they come up with modifications. You know, that they'll just be doing 5.1, 5.2, 5.3 until they decide at some point that they need to just completely overhaul everything again and come up with a DSM-6. So, and they will at some point, I guarantee it. So,
5 not even that old.
what's that?
The 5 not even that old either.
Yeah, 2013, May of 2013.
Oh, wow.
So, anyways, okay, then B, I didn't finish A. Okay. well, okay, talking about how, they focus solely on our struggles, okay? I have a friend who got diagnosed with Asperger's, okay? And one of the three things that his psychologist noticed was his superior memory, okay? Particularly what's called episodic memory, being able to remember specific dates, okay, and specific events at a level that is beyond what most people do, okay? Being able to recite the exact day you were confirmed in your church, the exact day you graduated from high school, the exact day of all these various events. Most people can't remember the exact date. My exact day graduating from Mesa High was May 27th, 1988. Anyways, so basically, no, actually, this is moving on to be, that they treat these unique, these strengths, the superior memorization, like it's some freak show oddity. Like, oh, look what this crazy person can do. Like, and it's like, these strengths that amuse you, okay, that they should be the basis for the decisions that we make as far as how we live our lives, okay, and using these strengths to their maximum ability, okay. Again, this is completely contrary to how the autism community, deals with these issues, because at the top of the pyramid is, and it's not that I denounce, their profession, because they have a lot of good stuff. Like I said, I went to a 12-step program for codependency, and I learned a lot of good psychological, concepts there. And they're not quacks; they're just narrow-minded. And then they accuse us of being narrow-minded
Or odd.
Anyways, see, those autistic Aspies who realize that there are more to who they are than is listed in the DSM and the ICD will strive to make the most of what strengths they do have, okay, but are often frustrated when those around them are so blinded by their struggles that they can't see anything else, okay? And I am coming up with a new term for which I call autism leprosy dilemma, okay? If we don't tell people we're autistic, they're going to know that there's something different about our behavior, and they're going to pass judgments on what they think about us based on how they interpret people with those behavior, okay? If we tell them that we're autistic, oh, there's these lists of stereotypes and basically says we're a bunch of hapless, helpless neurological defects. So, and so it's a major debate, do we disclose or not?
Yeah.
That's been a problem throughout the years,
Yeah, that's the dilemma, do you withhold, try to hide that which you cannot hide, or do you disclose and deal with
Labels.
with the label? That is the dilemma. And are you wanting to say something, Billy? Yeah, you're leaning for. Okay. So, anyways.
I'm just stretching like that.
Oh, okay. Okay. So then, moving on to researchers. Okay, as the next one up on the pyramid. Okay, research is an inherently noble profession that many noble-minded individuals pursue. However, it's also a financially lucrative profession that many that desire fame and fortune pursue as well. Okay, and so hey, I'm not anti-big pharma. I think they get a little bit carried away with trying to dope us all up as much as they can. But at the same time, that doesn't necessarily mean that there isn't some good, that does come out of the research. That there are people that really want to help improve our lives. The public awareness press releases and conference presentations have more to do with additional funding for continued research than actually educating the public. Dr. Brian Woodruff, a neurologist at Mayo Clinic in Scottsdale. He became involved, in our community for personal reasons, and so one day, I come across, this report talking about how there's this new research in which will allow doctors to diagnose autistics neurologically, which is great because then it takes away the subjective behavioral analysis. It gives, anyways, and so I email him, these reports, and he looks at them. He's like, okay, well, here's the thing. It's like when you go on a date, you put your best foot forward. Okay, that doesn't mean that you're necessarily telling everything. You're giving a complete story. It doesn't mean you're necessarily lying. You're trying to be deceitful. You're just putting your best foot forward. And when we're talking about these press releases, okay, they're only talking about the good stuff that will encourage people to give them more money. If you see it on the evening news, generally speaking, it means it hasn't actually been proven yet. Okay, generally speaking, it probably hasn't actually been proven. Okay, they think something is true, and they want more they want that, and that's the way things are done in America. Okay, again, we're a capitalist society. Capitalism also affects research. It's a matter of fact. Let's not debate. Economics. Just acknowledge it's a matter of fact. That's how we roll in America. Okay, and so you need to understand that. That when they're presenting all this information about all this great cutting-edge research, okay, that some of these concepts will eventually be disproven and therefore should not immediately be treated like facts and used as a foundation for your future strategies, like a lot of overly desperate parents and autistics do. Okay, they go to a conference and oh, they just have this latest breakthrough, and it's like, okay, great, I keep tabs on it, but I ain't throwing them a ticker tape parade because they think they know what's going on. Thinking that they know what's going on isn't the same as having irrefutable evidence that you know what's going on. Okay,
Yeah, you can repeat. That's the thing with science. You have to be able to repeat it.
Right,
So my thing is prove it.
Yeah.
Undeniable proof.
Yeah, and the thing is, we're not allowed to see that proof because of intellectual property laws. Okay, they spend a lot of money, doing this research, and they want to get it recouped. Okay, and one of the things that Dr. Woodruff has the advantage of is, there's a special database that he pays a subscription to, and probably a pretty expensive one, that gives him the actual reports, the complete and actual peer review reports of any research project that's been done. So he can actually go get the actual report and critique it, okay, and he told me straight up, some of these studies that are rigged in order to get the results that they want.
In America,
Okay.
that happens a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the almighty dollar.
It's
Yeah.
Which
money.
really
Yeah.
stinks.
Yeah.
It's what they're going to make money on.
I mean, look
Yeah.
at the HIV drugs out there, not to get off subject,
Yeah.
but, that big hoopla, and the man that bought the
Yeah.
pharmaceutical company
yeah.
just put up 1,000%. That's just
Yeah,
awful.
and like I said, there's a lot of noble people in the research community doing a lot of noble things, but there's also a lot of people that are in it for the money. Okay, and so you need to really slow down before you throw a ticker tape parade because somebody says that, oh, well, we just did this research which we believe means, well, let me know when you've actually proven what you think is to be true. So, anyways.
We need investors.
Okay. There are basic fundamental principles that do provide a strong foundation for future strategies. And the problem is that people are so wrapped up in getting the latest cutting edge knowledge in order to how we're going to get fixed, okay, because that's what it's all about. How are they going to fix us? That's what they want to know, okay? But until then, what are the very basic fundamental scientific principles that will that we can that provide a foundation for strategies, and I'm actually going to go into more detail about this next month, but just, 4 points real quick. The relevant difference between autistic and non-autistic neurology. I'm not asking what causes autism, but what is the neurological differences between autistics and non-autistics, okay? I have posed this question to so many autism experts, and they're like, well, that's difficult to explain. No, it's not, okay?
It's cut and dry. What is it?
Yeah, and that I will explain next month, okay? With the help of Dr. Woodruff. That was the great thing about him. He hasn't been involved with our community nearly as much lately, but in any case, when he was really involved for a couple of years, he critiqued all of my scientific material to make sure that it was within the realm of consensus science. There's no such thing as unanimous science, because no matter how much evidence you produce, somebody's going to say, "Oh no, everything ever been taught is wrong," and so there's no such thing as unanimous science. But as far as consensus science, there is consensus science, that answers this question, okay? B, brain plasticity, okay? What that means is that the brain is in a constant state of development from the day we're born to the day we die. That means that just because you couldn't do something as an 8-year-old, you lack the neurological age, okay? Now, me being 2.5 weeks away from turning 47, I'm kind of going the other way, where my brain, a lot of parts of my body are not functioning as well as they used to. And so, well, we'll save that for next month. But yeah, dementia, Alzheimer's, stuff like that. Those are the results of brain plasticity when it starts going the other way. And so, and this is a very important concept, especially with so many parents who are saying that their child is never going to get married. They get diagnosed at 2 years old. My child is never going to get married. You don't know that. And I've seen videos put on by major autism organizations, and where a parent says, "Well, I'll never experience the joy of dancing with my son at his wedding." Her son was, I believe, like 5 years old at the time. You don't know that, okay? And this is the reason why brain plasticity is so important to understand. Is just because you didn't have the ability at 6 doesn't mean you're not going to have it at 26. You may lose it by 46, but that's another matter altogether. Non-autistics might lose them at 46 too. So
Or get better. You don't know.
Yeah, and so.
Make it.
Yeah, and that's part of the problem. People want all the answers, they want it now, and sometimes you don't get all the answers now.
It's like with MS too. You don't know. Everyone is different.
I
Right.
prefer
They're
good questions.
Individual.
What's that?
I prefer good questions.
Yeah. So, okay. Then C. Okay. So the fourth basic fundamental is how human beings develop social skills and the unique barriers that autistics have to overcome. Okay. All this talk about how deficient we are in social skills. Well, how did you acquire your social skills? Okay, that you weren't born with them. You acquired them over time.
It wasn't that easy for me.
And so, yeah, and this is something, and I've actually had autistics, tell me this, that they've actually bought into this idea that neurotypicals, that's what we refer to non-autistics as, are just born knowing how to socialize. No, that is not the case, and that they have just been absolutely duped by a autism community that is so obsessed with how we don't socialize, how we don't have the social skills, that they completely neglect to talk about how social skills are developed in the first place. And then when you add in brain plasticity, just because you didn't have them when you're 8 doesn't mean you can't have them at 28. Okay? And then D, how human beings is treated will affect their personality and social skills and how their personality and social skills will develop. Okay, and again, this is where, me adding in my experiences, working a 12-step program for codependency, bringing them into the autism community, bringing it to my fellow autistics, and them looking at me like a complete and total quack because nobody else in the autism community, that I've been told that I have no basis for saying that because nobody acknowledges this. And like I said, actually everybody outside the autism community acknowledges these facts. Just because the autism community isn't acknowledging them, that doesn't mean that the people outside the autism community isn't acknowledging them. Okay, and the fact is, yes, and I will get into that a little bit later. Okay, so then moving on to the next section. Okay, the elite educators, textbooks, and the GEN. Okay, I'm only going to touch on two of them. The elite educators, who teach the teachers, doctors, therapists, etc., which are the college professors, those who provide recertification training, keynote speakers, conference presenters, especially keynote speakers, and sometimes B and C are one and the same. A lot of professionals, when they go for recertification, oh, well, I want to freshen up on autism, so I'll go to this bloody expensive conference, and or get my recertification done, and that they actually at the conferences, point out which of their presentations actually qualify for the recertification training.
CEUs, continuing education units.
Yeah.
A lot of professions.
Right. And so that way, because listening to a panel of autistics talking, that's not going to qualify, but listening to somebody, an educational, professional would qualify. So those are singled out, and so basically, these are the ones that teach the teachers. Okay. Second is the JAN, the Jobs Accommodations Network, Accountability and Compliance Series, employees with Asperger's syndrome, and that is going to be the next section of this presentation, is elaborating on what the JAN is. Okay, to be elaborated on the next section. Okay, then we come to the I can't read my own writing, and it's tight. Okay.
It's pretty pale from here, too.
Yeah, advocates. Ugh. Okay. I'm wondering if looking at that sun is I normally don't have sensory issues to vision, visual sensory issues,
There's no shade
but
there,
I'm
is there?
definitely.
Yeah,
I'm definitely having a lot harder time concentrating today for some reason than I normally do. Yeah, that's not really going to make a difference. But anyway,
Does anybody have some tape?
Yeah, but anyway, so don't worry about it. So I can muddle through it, and sometimes, hey, sometimes you're not going to get the perfect environment, and you just have to, you just got to muddle through it, okay? And I said, for some reason, something is affecting my concentration today, but you know what? Show just started, so let's just keep on rolling. Okay, the largest of these advocacy organizations' public awareness activities include one or more of the following: hosting conferences, providing recertification training, fundraising for research, and fundraising for special services. In other words, the largest of these autism organizations also cover the two previous levels of the pyramid, okay? And so these fundraising activities, as well as the recertification training classes and conferences, gives these organizations considerable control over the two previous levels of the pyramid. Okay, and this is where we get a little bit of strife within the autism community, is that that there are some autistic self-advocates that take extreme exception to what these advocacy organizations are doing in our name. Okay, there is one particular organization. There is an entire Facebook page set up to denounce that organization. Okay? There,
Autism Speaks.
That's when I just thought of. That's when I just.
I wasn't going to say it, but obviously,
That's what first one I think of.
yeah, you know, and you know, and yeah, you know that, and so yeah, there's I'm wanting to be careful because I'm not wanting to get completely derailed into that area, but you know when we're talking about these issues, it is very relevant to note that the autistic community has extreme exception with what a lot of these organizations are saying for reasons I will elaborate on. But I don't want to go into too much detail because, like I said, I don't want to hijack this. I really want to stay relevant to vocationally relevant subject matter, but I'll explain why it is relevant in a little bit here.
It puts everything out in the community and society and puts labels.
Right.
on.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so then the next level of the pyramid are loved ones and other hands-on helpers. I don't need to define what the loved ones are, do I? Okay, I certainly hope not. Okay, hands-on helpers. Ohos?
Uh-ohs.
Uh-ohs. Okay. Uh-ohs. Okay. OH, yes. Uh-ohs include, okay, teachers, doctors, therapists. Hey, haven't we seen this list before? Caseworkers, etc. Okay, and so here's the thing is that much of the strife in the autism community at large are problems that autistics, Aspies, as well as their loved ones have with the previously mentioned uh-ohs. Okay, the problem with this is that the uh-ohs are only doing what they were taught. Okay, and so if the autistic Aspies, as well as their loved ones, have a problem with them, they need to confront the ones who taught them. Okay, that's when we need to go, up the level of the pyramid. And as far as I'm concerned, it starts with the DSM. Okay, and then it goes to these major advocacy organizations. You know, and that's who we need to. If you don't like how your teacher, your child's teacher is dealing with your child, you need to talk to the person that taught that teacher to deal with your child in that manner.
Can I say something in that regard? There was a teacher that I did not like the way she was treating my son. I went to the principal.
Mm-hmm.
He said, it's her way or the highway.
Mm-hmm.
And this is public school.
Yeah.
That was everyone, though, in the class.
It was awful. Absolutely forward.
You know, and so, well, if it's everybody in the class, then maybe, you know, there was a bad, there's a bad apple in every bunch, you know. Most teachers are really wonderful, you know, that they try really hard, they're under a lot of stress, you know, and that they have kids come, some of them are behavioral issues because they watched daddy beat up mommy the day before, and resulting behavioral issues. And then there's this autistic, you know, and the teacher has to figure out how to deal with both of them, you know. And so yeah.
You think teachers are that educated on? I don't know that they're that educated and that attuned to really what, I mean, I think maybe in some cases, but I don't know all of them.
Yeah, well, as far as autism specific education, you know, that,
I don't think they are.
well, it probably varies from teacher to teacher, you know, because they do have to go get their recertification training, and okay, you know, 6 of their kids are refugees from Africa. 1 is autistic. Okay, who are they going to want to get more help dealing with?
Yeah, they only have so much time and attention.
Yeah, you know, and so, you know, there's just so many issues that teachers have to deal with, you know, and so many different problems that each child can have. You know, they don't have time to go and to specialize in every conceivable problem that every single student of theirs.
Well, at school today, they want the classroom, I'll just say this and be quiet so you can move on, so regimented, and everybody has to follow the rules, everybody has to fit in these parameters, and if they don't, a problem for those teachers, because they don't have time to deal with stuff that doesn't fit.
Well, one of the things I do know about Arizona schools is they're way overcrowded, okay? And
I agree.
I don't want to turn to politics right now, but yeah, okay.
They don't allow for any individuality for students though.
Yeah.
And today.
Yeah, and again, the root of a lot of this
It's fun.
should be laid at the feet of our politicians for what they're subjecting the teachers to. Okay.
I agree.
Yeah, and so so I have issues that I can't get the teachers to come in and talk to us and allow us to give us their insights, or us give our insights to
To them.
Yeah.
Vice versa.
Yeah, and vice versa. You know, that, like I said, in 2010, that was my goal, is to have this kind of constructive dialogue between all the different groups. But at the same time, you know, I realize that they're trying, you know, that they're doing their best, and
It's a
that's,
small percentage,
yeah.
is how I feel, that are really trying.
So, anyways, okay, and so then moving on to the last layer of the pyramid, we're at the bottom of the pyramid in terms of what kind of influence we have on the community. And yeah, we're not happy about it, you know. When it comes to the amount of influence we have over the community, the Autistics, Aspies themselves are at the bottom. You know, and the autistic Aspie community has many self-advocates that have been expressing their grievances, as well as ideas to improve the quality of life of autistic Aspies and their loved ones. Although that there have been some attempts by a few to pretend like they're listening to us, the reality is that the decisions that impact the quality of life of us autistics and our loved ones are being made by those who have little or no real regard for our input. Okay, and that's another reason why I don't have a lot of support, is that a lot of my fellow autistics, that they're happy for the scraps that are being thrown to them. I'm not satisfied with scraps. I should be sitting as an equal at the table. I should not be on the floor grappling for scraps. Okay, and as of October 2012, I'm basically in rebellion against this system, which relegates us to grovel for scraps. In terms of how much we're allowed to participate. This is being done by the major autism organizations who have appointed themselves as our representatives without our consultation or consent. They not only give us no say in how autism/Asperger's is presented to the public, but also how the money is collected in our names is spent for research and services. Okay? What about Temple Grandin? Yes, Temple Grandin comes to town to a conference that normally brings about 150 people and sells out an auditorium that seats 500. Okay, so we know that the conferences make money bringing Temple Grandin in. The question is, okay, what's her mantra? We're different, not less. Find me one autism advocacy site that makes a single statement that is consistent with Temple Grandin's statement that we're different, not less. Show me one IEP, any child's IEP, and individual education plan, okay, which acknowledges that child is different, not less. It's all wonderful that Temple Grandin is allowed to come to the conferences and sell out auditoriums, bringing in 3-4 times the audience. But the thing is anybody basing their strategy on how to help us on her ideas? Okay, and when I look at all these advocacy organizations, and I look at all the information that they educate the public about, all the information that they disseminate, there's not one single statement that is consistent with her position that we are different, not less. Okay, and that is why so many of us autistic self-advocates are fed up with these organizations. You know, and these organizations are ticked off at me, you
Too
know. Yeah, and well, they're not doing anything for me anyways.
No,
Yeah.
Okay?
we've been to quite a few of them.
Yeah, in 2011, okay, like I mentioned, that the co-organizers of the Tempe group, Sue Galbach is a now retired occupational therapist, and Tara Marsh is a speech language pathology assistant. In 2011, we organized our own conference, okay, that my church at the time allowed me to host, okay? And basically what we billed it as is that this conference was to present to people what the autistics, the issues that the autistics are most concerned with, and what we think about those issues. Not one of these major organizations showed up. In 2011, 2012, 2013, 3 years. Not one of these major organizations cared about what was important to us, what issues, and again, oh, well, yeah, you're just a nobody. Okay, yeah, fine. I just have a high school diploma, 1.9 GPA. Sue Galbach has a master's degree in occupational therapy. Her academic and professional credentials are greater than many of those who stick their noses up at us. Okay, they may only have a bachelor's degree. Well, Sue has a master's degree. Okay, at the time of the first conference, her and Tara had been co-hosting that Autism Asperger support group for 9 years. You think they might know a little bit about what the issues are we've been talking about? You know, with the itinerary, you know, what issues were going to be talked about. The following years, Sue was the one that helped me with the itinerary. So this isn't just Jason Parsons having this crazy idea, you know, and thinking he's some grand, whatever. Because at the time, I basically didn't know a fraction, especially the first conference. I knew a little bit. I was going to do a presentation, piecing together what little bits, that I had learned and everything, but Sue and Tara were the stars. They were the experts, to talk about the issues that were most important to us and what we thought about those issues, and not one of these organizations cared to come and listen to us.
And they were all invited.
They were all invited. Sue Galbach had the email address of everybody who was anybody, and she emailed the brochure to everybody who was anybody in the autism community.
How sad is that?
And they wonder why I'm so ticked off.
Yeah.
And why many of us are so ticked off.
Yeah. Sure.
That's why. And when I was doing this, planning this meeting, I called several of the different employment agencies, because that help people find jobs, and invited them here. And one said that they would try to send somebody. They obviously didn't. Another one said, that, well, are you doing it through one of the autism organizations? And I said no. And it's like, okay, well, we'll only do it through one of the autism. They won't even come and listen to us unless we have the blessings of one of these organizations that doesn't support our activities.
Are there employment agencies that that especially deal with Asperger's?
We'll get to that when I'm talking about voc rehab. Okay, but I was just talking. But what I was doing is I was calling, different employment agencies, just regular employment agencies that any Joe could go sign up for, because like I said, one of the things I want.
There's people here that want to work.
Yeah, because basically
jobs to fill.
Yeah, well, basically what my idea is that I know what's wrong with the system, and I have a plan. But like I was told several years ago, the businesses that have the highest rate of failure are restaurants, because these people, oh, I'm a great cook, that's all I need to be. No, actually, you need to know how to deal with the business aspect, and how to turn your great cooking into enough of a profit to keep your doors open. And so that's the situation that I'm in, is that I know I've got the recipe to cook up that I believe is going to help us. Okay, but I definitely, as far as doing the business aspect, how to turn that into a workable business that's going to be able to pay its bills and stay in business, that is what I'm wanting assistance with. Okay, and so whether that they, talk them into maybe starting a subdivision of their business that specifically helps us, or just volunteering to help us, completely on their own, just out of the kindness of their hearts. That's because I don't have the money to pay them a consulting fee. Okay, maybe $20. I might be able to come up with $20 to pay them as a consultant, and I have a feeling that that's not worth their time. So anyways,
the video to be very informative, and I realized that I vented a lot of anger and frustration at the system during it. It wasn't my initial intention, but at some point in time when you're disseminating this information, the frustration that you experience will come out, and if the organizations in question don't want me expressing this kind of frustration, then maybe they should stop conducting themselves in a manner that creates frustration in me and other autistic self-advocates. Simple solution. It's beyond their comprehension though. But anyway, so moving on, with this series, several of the members, they didn't really come to listen to somebody give a big picture plan for the entire autistic community. They just simply came to get specific information to help them get jobs right now. And so I promised them that I would go ahead and do the part that they actually came for next month, even though it's going to involve me doing things out of order. Okay, so this was part one, the impact of autistic Asperger's perception on autistic Aspie employment, and then the material that we didn't get to, okay, which is now going to be part two, the impacts of U.S. social services on autistic Aspie employment. Okay, but we're not going to do that next. We're not going to actually do that presentation next. We're actually going to skip to what is now number 3, understanding the strengths and weaknesses of autistic Aspies in relationship to employment. Okay, because that's the information that a lot of our people came for, and so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give them that, and then the following month I will backtrack and do the impact of the U.S. social services on autistic employment. So anyways, and then we will proceed from there, with the good, the bad, and the ugly of autistic Aspie employments and volunteer experiences, and then the +1 autistic Aspie social skills. So that's going to be how the videos are going to, this entire series is going to pan out, through the remainder. So anyways, thank you, and hope you continue to watch this video series on getting autistics jobs and off of public assistance.